All right, well, I'm Tony Costa from Toronto Apologetics. So glad that you could join us. I'd like to encourage you, if you have not done so already, to subscribe to Toronto Apologetics. Just go to the below the video to the subscription button. Just click on that and you'll be immediately subscribed. Also, like and share the video. Also want to mention my book behind my right shoulder here, No King But Christ, The Collapse and Bankruptcy of Secular Worldviews. It is now available on Amazon, and it deals with the kingship of Christ and also with the contemporary world we live in, why we are in the mess that we are here in the West and abroad. And so there will be a link to that in the description box. It is now available on Amazon, No King But Christ. Today I want to talk about a posting that was placed on X or Twitter, formerly known as Twitter, yesterday, where a person mistakenly confused Christianity with Jehovah's Witnesses, particularly on the topic of blood transfusions. And we'll take a look at that post, and I will pause it when necessary for commentary. But this is a scene from Grey's Anatomy. And in this scene, they're dealing with a patient who is a Jehovah's Witness, a child, and the parents are refusing to authorize the doctors to give blood. So let's take a look at this clip, and then I'll have something to say about it.
What is he allergic to? Okay, stop! He's a Jehovah's Witness. We can't give him blood.
He's lost a lot of blood. I'd say more than half his volume.
He'll make new blood.
It takes about 4 days to make new blood cells. He may not have that much time. What would really help is blood transfusions.
No. No blood.
If you're worried about disease transmission, I can assure you that all of our blood is meticulously screened. It's not that we don't trust your blood.
We believe that life is a gift from God, and we don't try to sustain it by taking in blood.
Let me be perfectly clear. Your son's condition is critical. Without blood, his organs will start shutting down. And once he starts that spiral, there is nothing we can do.
Oh, dear God.
We are juggling all kinds of substitute measures, but nothing is as good as blood. As his surgeon, I urge you to let us give him the best chance we can. Let us give him blood.
We have seen amazing miracles through prayer. If it's God's will. So you won't allow blood? Even if it's going to save his life? Because prayer...
We appreciate all you're doing for our boy. But your blood wouldn't save his life, it would condemn him. Living with it would be so much worse for him than dying without it.
Oh, God.
Okay. All right. So what you basically saw there, folks, was, again, a brief clip there from Grey's Anatomy. And there you saw...
What is he allergic to?
Sorry about that, folks. We saw one of the reasons why Jehovah's Witnesses do not receive blood. And I want to say something about that momentarily. I want to bring up actually a picture of one of the Watchtower's magazines, known as the Awake magazine. I'm just going to raise the font here a bit. And what you see there, folks, is the Awake magazine. As I pointed out, Jehovah's Witnesses have their two main mediums of print is the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, and the Watchtower magazine, and the Awake magazine. And this Awake magazine is from January 22nd, 1995. And on the front of that magazine, they had a picture of these children, some young teenagers. And what you're looking at there, folks, are pictures of children who have died for refusing blood, or their parents refused to give them blood. It's a very ghoulish picture. All those children are dead. This is virtually an obituary pictures, really. None of them, these children, are alive. And the Watchtower, the Jehovah's Witnesses organization, printed and published their pictures on the front of their magazine, which I think is one of the most ghoulish things I've ever seen. And the Watchtower is guilty of mass manslaughter because of their wicked misinterpretation of biblical passages that have nothing to do with blood transfusions. They first passed this ban on blood transfusions in July of 1945. That was the first time the Watchtower banned blood transfusions. Prior to that, they were receiving blood and giving blood, not a problem in the world. And none of them were in danger of losing their hope of eternal life on paradise earth. Jehovah's Witnesses, the Watchtower used to be against organ donations, organ transplants. Then it had new light and changed their mind. They used to be against vaccines, and now they got new light and they changed their mind. And now with blood transfusion, until they all of a sudden announce some new light and change their mind on the subject, which they've done before, including date setting for the end of the world, which they never got right. They may one day change their mind and say they got new light on this. And now blood transfusions are going to be permissible. And yet all these children, all of them died because of their wicked interpretation, because of their authoritarian control over their lives. These children are now dead. So you have some excerpts here, youths who put God first, pages 3 to 15. In former times, thousands of youths died for putting God first. They are still doing it today. Only today, the drama is played out in hospitals and courtrooms with blood transfusion the issue. And here you have as well at the bottom here, Lene thought a bit, then answered, I have served Jehovah all my life, 12 years. He has promised me everlasting life in paradise if I obey him. I will not turn away from him now for 6 months of life. I want to be faithful until I die. Then I know in his due time, he will resurrect me from death and give me everlasting life. Then I will have plenty of time for everything I want to do. And why do they believe this? Because the Watchtower tells them. Absolute control. Because the Watchtower, which is a non-Christian cult, does this. This has nothing to do with Christianity. Nothing at all. Absolutely nothing. And what are some of the passages that Jehovah's Witnesses use to try to support this idea of blood transfusions? Well, it will be interesting to note what passages that they will use to support this. And I'm just going to bring this up, these particular passages from the Bible that they generally use to justify banning blood transfusion. So let's take a look at some of the passages that Jehovah's Witnesses will use. So the passages that they generally use, as you will see, we'll just share this here, and we'll take a look at the passages. I selected 3 passages that they generally use. The first one comes from Leviticus chapter 3, verse 17. And there it says, it shall be a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwelling places that you eat neither fat nor blood. Now, of course, in context, if you were to look at Leviticus 3 in context, it's talking about sacrifice. It's talking about these sacrificial animals, that you're not to eat their fat or their blood. Does that have anything to do with transfusion? Absolutely nothing. One is you are consuming blood. The other one, in case of blood transfusions, that is replenishing blood. But again, this text has nothing to do with blood transfusions. Another passage they also use is, again, from the book of Leviticus, chapter 7, verses 26 to 27. Moreover, you shall eat no blood, whatever, whether of fowl or of animal, in any of your dwelling places. Whoever eats any blood, that person shall be cut off from his people. Now, what you'll notice here, again, is the prohibition to eat blood. But notice the context, whether of fowl, that is a bird, or of an animal, in any of your dwelling places. Whoever eats blood, any blood, that person shall be cut off from his people. So notice again the context. It's talking about animal blood. It's talking about not consuming animal blood. And if you eat blood, then you will be cut off from your people. In the New Testament, they like going to Acts 15, verse 29, where we are told there in Acts 15:29, the apostles, the Council of Jerusalem, tells the Gentiles that you abstain from what has been sacrificed to idols, and from blood, and from what has been strangled, and from sexual immorality. If you keep yourselves from these, you will do well. Farewell. So once again here, the context shows that it's referring to food or meats. They're to abstain from what has been sacrificed to idols, like meat or food. They're also to abstain from blood. And of course, this has to do with animal blood associated with sacrifices. And they're not to eat what has been strangled, and then they're also not to engage in sexual immorality. And if they keep themselves from these, they shall do well. So as you can see, folks, from the context of those passages, to read those and to jump from those to blood transfusion, that's quite a leap, because the context has nothing to do with blood transfusion. In fact, there was no blood transfusion in the time of Moses. There was no blood transfusion in the time of the first century church, of the apostles. They didn't know any of this. And the context clearly shows that these are dietary. They have to do with eating. They have to do with eating food, and particularly meats. And so taking these passages out of context, the way Jehovah's Witnesses have done, has resulted in the deaths of hundreds of thousands of children around the world who were refused blood because they believe that that is an unforgivable sin, that God will not forgive you, that he will not resurrect you in the last day to inherit paradise. What a wicked thing to do, to deprive people of life, where Jesus taught us that the greatest thing that a friend could do is to lay their life for their friends, to die for their friends, so that they may live. And so to take these dietary laws that are clearly dealing with consuming food and meat, nothing to do with blood transfusions. Christianity has never, ever been opposed to blood transfusions. Jehovah's Witnesses, because of their interpretation, misinterpretation of Scripture, have placed all these people, controlled their minds, and placed them in a precarious situation where a father or a mother is now constrained to not allow their child to live because they cannot allow them to receive blood. And yet Jehovah's Witnesses go to dentists and hygienists, dental hygienists, and when they have their teeth cleaned, you're swallowing blood, whether you like it or not. They may try to remove it from your mouth, but you're consuming blood, because some of that blood is being swallowed while you're in the dentist chair. And so every time you floss your teeth and blood is released from your gums, some of it is being digested into your body. Well, are you now committing that unforgivable sin of consuming blood? Because that's what happens when you floss your teeth, when you go to the dentist, when you see the dental hygienist and your gums begin to bleed. Some of that blood is going into your throat. And so you're guilty of eating blood, human blood. And so this is what happens, folks. This is how evil these cults are. They come and they destroy lives. Jesus said that the thief only comes to steal, to kill, and to destroy, but I have come that you might have life. And so contrary to what we saw in that X post, that Twitter post, Christianity has nothing to do with this. Jehovah's Witnesses are not a Christian church or a Christian entity. Far from it. They are a cult that arose towards the end of the 19th century in 1879 under Charles Taze Russell, and they are not only not Christian, they're false prophets who've predicted Armageddon numerous times and gotten it wrong and failed the test of a true prophet. So, folks, I hope you enjoyed the video and liked it. Again, we encourage our viewers to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and to share it. And don't forget my book, No King But Christ. is now available on Amazon, and there will be a link to that in the description box. Thanks for watching, everyone. Until next time, God bless.